My favorite thing about Temple Bethel is the family aspect.
At the end of the services when we just get to eat and relax and chat.
See my friends because I grew up with all of them.
My favorite thing is the youth group activities.
And we get to have lots of fun.
I like the fact that it has a community feeling.
We like the neatness. I like the challah.
I like the youth choir and I like the Oneg Shabbat.
I like hanging out with my Jewish friends and talking about Jewish things because you can't really do that at secular school.
My favorite thing about Temple Bethel is probably the people here because they just make it such a great experience.
Shalom. Hello, I'm Rabbi Charles Briskin, and it's my distinct pleasure and honor and privilege to be the rabbi of Temple Bethel in San Pedro, especially this year as we celebrate 90 years of service to the Jewish community and beyond here in San Pedro.
This is the celebration of a remarkable group of people who built a remarkable community that we are privileged to celebrate now.
The roots of Temple Bethel go back to 1922 when the first organized religious services were held in a private home. In 1923, the women got together to form the first San Pedro Jewish Sisterhood. And just 5 years later, in 1928, they raised the funds to purchase our very first Torah scroll.
The Jewish Sisterhood, the elder ladies at the time, were an important part of it because they were constantly having fundraising. They were hardworking and they really were responsible for the temple evolving as well as it did.
The Jewish Women's Sisterhood accumulated enough money, built a small building.
In 1935, we were privileged to move into our first facility of the San Pedro Jewish Community Center at 19th and Cabrillo,
which is now the Italian-American Hall.
I first started attending Temple Bethel when I had a shovel and turned over the dirt for the first building there. It just consisted of a very small auditorium. It had a stage, had a kitchen.
But at that time, the temple couldn't afford to maintain it as a temple alone, so they rented out the building to various organizations. It was a very difficult time because money was very, very hard to get hold of. You know, that was during the Depression.
We couldn't afford a rabbi. But they tried several times. He would be here for a month or weeks.
I was teaching Sunday school with kids who were a year younger than me, so you could imagine how good it was. But it was fun, you know, we kept together.
People were poor, but you could never go up and down practically any street and knock on a door and some woman wouldn't come out with a glass of milk and a sandwich.
After World War II, this is how we got the Easterners here. They took a look at California with this climate. That's where they wanted to come back, and this is how this ingathering happened.
And in 1956, we moved into our current home here on 7th Street.
What brought us here?
A rabbi knocked on the door.
Yeah, a rabbi knocked on the door.
Rabbi Halevi.
Yes, Halevi. This was about a week after we moved in. How they knew we were Jewish, we don't know. He knocked at the door and asked us if we wanted to join the temple.
I didn't expect any connection that quickly. But we did have a child that was 10 months old when we moved down here. So we knew eventually that we would join, but we ended up joining right away.
In 1966,
when I was president during my term, they designed and built the sanctuary.
They had dances here. They had
a lot of social
events. We had picnics here.
Rabbi Lee became sort of a Pied Piper with the kids. The kids really enjoyed him.
Youth group events were just a blast. Tasbi, Yaldei Shalom. We had overnights, and that was before the day where everybody had all these activities. So this was home away from home, and this was where we were all the time. We didn't really have many outside activities, and it was a blast. I mean, we had time of our lives.
In 1981, we introduced the Zebulun Award. And this award honors an individual or individuals who have contributed significant time, energy, and leadership, both to Temple Bethel and to the Jewish community at large. In 1991, we welcomed the Yevdayev family.
We came from Baku, Azerbaijan.
When we brought them to their new home in San Pedro, here at the apartment,
we got surprised that the apartment was furnished, and everything what we would need in first time for first months, we really had, even including food.
Our experiences as immigrants were not associated with as much hardships as that of many other immigrants that I've come to talk to since coming to the country. This is attributed to the fact that Temple took us under their wings.
Our family first arrived at Temple Beth-El in 2002. We had been searching for a couple of months for the right temple that had lots of young children. We came to the family service, and Rabbi Lieb is throwing tambourines and maracas into the crowd, and the kids are marching around behind the cantor and crossing the sea of reeds. And we looked at each other and said, we're done, we're here.
When I was named to be the new rabbi, one of the greatest gifts I received was from Rabbi Lieb, who very publicly, on the bima, at his last service and my first, passed the Torah scroll to me, transferring the mantle of leadership from one rabbi to the next. And that act of generosity really set the tone for what I've been able to offer and contribute to this community since then.
As an adult, raising my kids here and having them come to Torah school, it's wonderful.
It is my third year being a madracha, and I have been with Lisa in the preschool room. I get to know the young children and I get to help them learn Judaism.
There's been a culture of education from the youngest children to the most senior adults. The children enjoy Hebrew studies and Judaic studies, take their informal education into youth groups.
I think that what we are building with Yaldei Shalom, our 6th and 7th grade youth group, with Speedy, San Pedro Temple Youth, our 9th through 12th grade youth groups. These are helping to provide opportunities for community building, social justice work with the youth members of our congregation.
Our confirmation class went to DC with Rabbi to go to a seminar called Litaken.
And that was a great experience, not only being in Washington, D.C., but meeting other teenagers going through confirmation from all over the United States. Was just an amazing experience.
Our scholarships or camperships for our youth who ordinarily might not be able to afford to go away to a summer camp or maybe even an excursion, groups who go to Washington, D.C. for various activities.
The youth choir has become an important, I think, an important part of Temple Beth-El's culture. And every year, each and every year, I know many people look forward to the Hanukkah Latke dinners so that they can come and hear the kids sing.
And our adults learn everything from basic Hebrew to chanting the liturgy of our service.
I was married to a Catholic for 21 years, and my brother-in-law died young of cancer. And at his funeral, I began thinking, I love rituals, but these are not my rituals, and when I die one day, this isn't going to happen for me. And I was feeling a need to make a Jewish connection.
Several years ago, an incident occurred where I was emotionally hurt, and I was kind of labeled in a very bad way being a dirty Jew. My house was damaged, there was some graffiti on there, and it identified me as a Jew. The irony for me is that I didn't identify myself as a Jew. To be accused of being a bad thing, a Jew, was pretty horrific. And I thought I would be okay with it, you know, that stuff is easily washed off the front of your house, etc. But my heart was broken, and I couldn't figure out why, since I had spent this life as a secular Jew. And I saw in the newspaper there were advertisements right around the High Holy Days, open houses, and one of the places was Temple Beth-El here in San Pedro. I just fell in love with Temple Beth-El. And I became passionate in terms of my learning about my faith, Judaism. So I began my journey, my study. I became bat mitzvah.
We're the confirmation class of 1991.
Grew up here at Temple Beth-El together for many years.
And now we're back, with our family.
I think it was pretty clear to me
once I had my own sons, that I wanted them to experience what I felt so lucky to be able to be a part of.
Definitely the base of everything that now my family, wife, kids, and everything is built on as well.
I hope that he finds friendships here that are so strong that they make him more interested in Judaism. It's, as a parent, that is incredibly exciting for me to see that happen.
The temple welcomes our family equally. Each member of my family, whether we're adult, Jewish, non-Jewish, old, young, each person is given an opportunity to be a part of whatever activity is going on within the community.
And I have been the best Jewish mom that I can be. I know that I'm not Jewish, but I feel that my children have had the experience of having them raised in a Jewish household, a Jewish home. And we've been involved in a very active Havurah, which I think is one of the best parts of Temple Beth El is the Havurah program.
We got involved through the Half Pint Havurah. Had a great time with the cantor, making challah and all the other projects that they worked on.
We have a wonderful Havurah with 9 families, and when the kids were little, we would all come to the youth choir dances and the picnics and all of the fun activities geared towards the little kids. And now that they've grown up, we all attend the fun adult functions. The Purim party for adults has been really fun. Cooking with the cantor.
We've been able to innovate and create new opportunities. We have our summer Shabbat across the peninsula. The Rabbi David Lieb Endowment has helped to secure our future.
With the next funds we raise, we can look at extraordinary programming to attract more members and to enrich the members we have.
I think the endowment sets the stage for a future that is going to help us get through the next 90 years, not just this year, and not just as a testimony of our last 90 years.
Someday, at the next significant anniversary of this congregation, the people who are the leaders of the community then are going to have their stories to tell. The people who are the leaders of the community now are going to have stories to tell about life at Temple Beth El and life in this Jewish community.
Our ancestors teach us that the world stands upon 3 pillars: on Torah, Avodah, and Gimilut Chasadim, on learning and on prayer and on acts of loving kindness. These 3 values have been part of Temple Beth El since our humble beginnings in 1922 and 1923. It's what has brought people together. It is what has sustained us as a community. From the simple moments in people's lives when they've been there for one another, for creating places and opportunities to pray as a community, to celebrate with one another, to be with one another in times of joy and in times of sorrow. This has been a community that has educated and nurtured thousands upon thousands of Jewish souls. It has created multi-generational families who are still part of the fabric of our community. Learning, praying, doing. This is what has sustained our community for 90 years, and it's what will sustain us for 90 more years.